This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we're talking about the Facebook Pixel, how to set it up on your website and why you need it. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. So this week we're going to be chatting about the Facebook Pixel. Basically what it is, why you need it, and kind of like why it's so important if you're doing Facebook and Instagram ads that this is set up and installed on your website. So Jen, before we kind of dive into it, do you want to give a quick overview of the Facebook Pixel?
Yeah, so essentially what the Facebook Pixel is it's a tracking tool essentially. So it's a little piece of code that you can put on your website, and it is vital for any business that's running Facebook or Instagram adverts. I mean, even if you're just boosting posts, little things, it's so important because it can give you so much data. But as well as that, it kind of holds your data for a little bit of time anyway, especially if you want to do any form of remarketing. The Pixel is where that comes in, and it's really, really important. You won't be able to do remarketing without it.
Yeah. And as well, in terms of if you're, especially if you're doing like stuff like e-commerce, Pixel is just massively important for remarketing, because you can start remarketing on each individual product, where you are in the sales funnel and all that, and we'll kind of jump into that maybe in a minute. So I suppose the first thing to do is, okay, how do you get the Facebook Pixel set up on your website? So there's a couple of different ways. Basically, when you set up your ad account with Facebook, they'll give you a snippet of code, and that kind of goes into the header of your website. But if you're using WordPress, there's lots of different plugins you can use to set up and install the Facebook Pixel. I know one we've used here would be Pixel Your Site.
I always use header footer.
It's really good. That's actually a really handy tool for injecting any code into the header and footer. And of course, Google Tag Manager as well. If you have Google Tag Manager set up on your website already, Facebook actually literally with a click of a button, it'll pretty much set up the pixel for you on your website.
I think for me, I'd always recommend Google Tag Manager, because most websites need custom conversions and custom events and stuff, and it's just so easy to manage everything in one place. I'm a big fan of Google Tag Manager.
It is. I think that's where we're actually going to go a bit more in depth on Google Tag Manager in the next podcast. But yeah, it is a nice way to set it up.
Yeah.
So in terms of, okay, why do you need the Facebook Pixel? For the most basic, the most important function of it for me is conversion tracking.
Yeah.
So you know if your ads are working. So if you're doing e-commerce, are people buying your products? If they are, which ads are they buying them from? If you're generating leads, if you're form fill outs, click to call tracking, all those types of conversions you can track with the Facebook Pixel, and it'll show you in your stats then which ads generated those conversions, which demographics, which targeting, all those different options that can really over time you can really optimize your advertising. And you can't do that unless you have the Facebook Pixel installed.
Yeah, and with the conversion tracking especially, I mean, sometimes it's people just assume that it's just the form fill out, or it's the buy now button and these kind of things. Those are the big things that kind of everyone has on their website. But there's lots of things you can track. I mean, do you have a call now button? Do you have if you have a page with a lot of information on it, you could set up a pixel that triggers when there's a timer of 2 or 3 minutes on a page. You have to just think about what you want for that page, or whatever page you want to track, or whatever page your advert is being redirected to, and just kind of go, what are all of the key things on this page that I want to know that someone did to know that my ad worked. And that's where the Facebook Pixel comes in a huge way. It's perfect for it. Yeah.
You made a very good point there. It depends on the page, what the KPI, what that key performance indicator is going to be. If you're a page with long form content, then okay, are people actually reading the content? Are they spending time on the page?
Exactly.
As opposed to maybe, as you say, click to call or some other action. But that's basically what you do with the Pixel. You can track all those different actions.
Like a great example is even just our podcast. I mean, on our page, we have a timer essentially, because that's one of the best. Yeah. If people are on the page for longer than 3 or 4 minutes, we can assume that they've probably clicked play.
Yeah.
you know?
Hopefully.
You better have.
So another great thing you can do with the Facebook pixel is remarketing.
Yeah.
And again, maybe in a podcast or two, we'll go into remarketing in a little more depth.
Yeah.
But overall, remarketing is if somebody visits your website, that they'll start to see the ad for your product or your service or your business on in this case, on Facebook or Instagram automatically, because they've already been on your website.
Yeah. I think the best thing about the remarketing, using it for remarketing though, is that same with the conversion tracking, where you have all of the different things, be it the page views, the timers, every event or trigger that you can imagine can be kind of worked into the Facebook pixel. And what you can do is say you could target a different ad to someone who has viewed the page for more than 3 minutes, we'll say, than someone else who has just kind of clicked on and clicked back out.
Yeah.
You can really make your audience like really segmented and granular, and like have the right message going to the right people, essentially. I mean, it's a huge tactic in funnel marketing, especially.
Yeah, like a really nice way to use it in the funnel is, we'd say, people who've added products to cart but haven't checked out.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
They're they obviously have a very keen interest in the products you offer, but for some reason they haven't checked out yet. So it's really good to get them back into the funnel using remarketing. Then.
And like, just as much as you can include people, you can exclude people as well, which is great. I mean, you can say people who went to a certain page but didn't do the action, and exclude all of the audience that did do the action. So you can really just kind of cut and chop and really make your audience the perfect one for each little ad you go out. And there's so much more. We see so much more conversions come in from remarketing than
so
definitely.
They're instead of it's almost like you're not going out trying to find a new customer in the wild. You know they've been on the website. You know there's an interest there already. You're just bringing them back into that. It's
funnel. Like in the recent podcast we were saying about how Google ads are more intentional and Facebook ads are a little bit more. You're bringing a little bit more of the intent in with your remarketing, because you know that they had a little bit of intent at some stage, hopefully anyway. Yeah.
And another great thing you can do with the pixel is creating lookalike audiences. So the way I always describe lookalike audiences to people, imagine everybody who's brought their product on your website, and then you go to Facebook and you say to Facebook, okay, go find me more people like that.
Yeah.
that's the way I look at lookalike audiences.
Yeah. But I mean, the amount of, I think people, like, even though we know Facebook has so much data, it's like the word infinity. It's so hard to comprehend just how much they have. But once you start tapping into it, especially for things like lookalike audiences, that's when you're like, oh, they really do. You know, they really are able to pinpoint through their be it cookies or everything they use. I mean, they do build good audiences. Yeah. Very
much so.
Yeah.
And there's great ways you can use that as well. So like the example I gave was and if you have an e-commerce site that, you know, if you had someone check out and you to basically tell Facebook, okay, go find me more people who checked out, or who like the people who checked out. But you can do it in the product level as well. So like everybody who bought a specific product.
Yeah.
Okay, now you start putting ads for that specific product to lookalikes of those people.
Yeah.
And likewise, you can do that in lead gen, where if somebody filled out a form, okay, go Facebook, go find me more people like those people who filled out that form.
Yeah. It's great.
You know, so it's a fantastic marketing tool.
Yeah.
So I suppose then if we look at more access to Facebook tools and metrics that you get with the Pixel.
Like, if you don't have the Pixel installed, you can't actually use the full suite of features either. I mean, we're using a lot of dynamic ads at the moment and we're finding them good. You won't have access to that feature if you don't have your Pixel installed. Same with just creating custom audiences from your website. I mean, there's a whole suite of little things that you can't do without the Facebook Pixel installed, and it always goes back to split testing and trial and error. But if you have your Pixel installed, at least you can start with testing those features if you're not familiar with them, at least, you know.
Yeah, and at a very basic level, it means that when you do go into the stats, that, you know, you look at your ads and you can actually see the results, see how many people filled in the form, see how many people had the sale. Again, if you're not doing, if you don't have the pixel on, it's, you know, akin to just putting your ad out there and hoping for the best. You don't really know which one of your ads is actually working. Yeah. So any kind of major key takeaways, I suppose, from today's episode?
I think for me, if you don't have it set up, set it up first of all, and then I would recommend setting it up in Google Tag Manager. Just because if you have it in there, at least afterwards you can start kind of going through your website and nailing down the different KPIs you'd like for each page. Even if you're not sure what KPIs can be monitored, you could probably safely assume the vast majority of what you think it can definitely be tracked and monitored. So the best thing to do is actually, if you don't know what to do, even just jot it down and kind of go searching for it afterwards, because it's literally just a little snippet of code that you can just put back into Google Tag Manager, and just all you need to do is title them, and then they'll come up in Facebook Pixel, and you can create audiences around them, or you can create events, and you can use it as a custom conversion then, so that you can just really easily go into your ads and see, yes, they did this, this and this. And I just think Google Tag Manager is the best place to organize it all, because I like to keep it just all nice and organized.
For me, it's, if you have an e-commerce site, it's just an absolute no-brainer. You can literally take your entire catalog of products, put them into what's called a Facebook catalog. Anybody who visits those products on your website will then automatically start to see them on Facebook and Instagram. And again, you can do the same with the add to cart actions and lookalike audiences for people who've checked out. It's insanely good for e-commerce.
So
thank you very much for listening. That has been this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop.